the future fate of the universe. Look up at the night sky. What do you see? Pinpricks of light, the serene glow of the moon, the silent march of the planets. It feels eternal, doesn't it? A constant, unchanging backdrop to our brief, brilliant lives. But that is an illusion. The cosmos is not a still painting. It is a living, breathing, and ultimately dying story. We are living in its glorious, vibrant middle chapters. But every story has an end. Today, we are going to read the final pages. We are going to journey to the very end of time itself, to witness the future fate of the universe. This isn't just about physics. It's about the ultimate meaning of existence. It's a tale of fading light, of unimaginable cold, and of mysteries that still whisper to us from the edge of eternity. So, get comfortable and let your mind expand. We are about to embark on the greatest voyage imaginable. To understand the end, we must first understand the force that drives it. It's not a malevolent god or a random accident. It's something woven into the very fabric of reality: expansion. Imagine the universe as a loaf of raisin bread, baking in an invisible oven. The dough is space itself, and as it bakes, it expands. Every raisin, every galaxy, moves away from every other raisin. Now, for the last century, we thought we understood this oven. We thought the expansion was slowing down, that gravity would eventually pull everything back together in a grand, cosmic reversal. But then, astronomers made a discovery that shattered that comforting idea. They found that the expansion isn't slowing down. It's accelerating. The oven isn't just baking, it's turning up the heat, faster and faster. There is a mysterious, repulsive force, a kind of anti-gravity that we call dark energy, and it is the undisputed master of our cosmic fate. This changes everything. It means the universe is not just growing old, it is unraveling. And this unraveling leads us to several possible endings, each more profound and mystical than the last. Let's begin with the most widely accepted prophecy, the one scientists call the heat death. But that name is so clinical. Let's call it what it truly is, the Great Silence. Our journey begins billions of years from now. The acceleration of the universe has become undeniable. The first thing we will lose are the constellations. The familiar patterns of Orion, Ursa Major, they will begin to stretch and distort, their stars scattering like dust in a hurricane. The night sky, which has been a guide and an inspiration since the dawn of humanity, will become unrecognizable. Then, the more distant galaxies will begin to vanish, not because they're exploding, but because the space between us and them is stretching faster than the speed of light. Their light can no longer reach us. They will redden, then fade, like dying embers, until they simply wink out of existence. One by one, the islands of the cosmos will disappear from our view, leaving our Milky Way utterly alone in an ever-darkening void. But the isolation is just beginning. Within our own galaxy, the fuel for new stars will slowly run out. The great stellar nurseries, those glorious clouds of gas and dust where stars are born, will dissipate. The last star will ignite. And for a time, the universe will be filled with the dim, red glow of these aging dwarf stars. But eventually, one by one, they too will burn out. Imagine the last star in the universe, a cold, red ember, flickering for the last time. When it goes dark, the era of light is over. Forever, what remains? Black holes, cold dead stars, and frozen planets, drifting in an absolute blackness. And even this is not the end. Through processes we are only beginning to grasp, even these dark remnants will slowly evaporate over trillions upon trillions of years. Protons, the very building blocks of matter, may themselves decay into nothing but pure energy. And finally, we reach the end state. The universe has expanded to its maximum, a vast, thin, and perfectly uniform sea of particles and radiation, so spread out that the temperature everywhere approaches absolute zero. No heat, no light, no structure, no change. It is the ultimate equilibrium, the final, eternal silence, a state of maximum entropy where nothing ever happens again. It is not an explosion, but a whisper that fades into nothingness. This is the great silence. But what if dark energy is even more powerful, more aggressive than we think? This leads us to a second and far more violent prophecy, the Big Rip. In this scenario, the repulsive force of dark energy doesn't just push galaxies apart, it grows stronger over time, unimaginably stronger. First, it tears apart clusters of galaxies. Then, individual galaxies themselves are shredded. But the horror doesn't stop there. Billions of years before the final moment, the force would begin to tear apart the very fabric of our Milky Way. Stars are ripped from their gravitational moorings and flung into the expanding darkness. Then, it gets personal. As the end draws near, the solar system is torn asunder. Planets are pulled away from their suns, and in the last minutes, the force would overcome the forces that hold you together. The Earth would be ripped apart, and in the final, fleeting instants, atoms themselves would be shredded. Nuclei would be torn from electrons, and finally, the very fabric of space-time itself would be ruptured. The universe would end not with a whimper, but with a scream, a catastrophic, fundamental tearing of reality at every single point. It is a cosmic apocalypse of the most absolute kind, a return to nothingness in the most violent way possible. Now, after those two rather bleak visions, let me offer you a third, one that resonates with the ancient myths of many cultures. The myth of the phoenix, the bird that is consumed by fire and reborn from its own ashes. This is the theory of the Cyclic Universe, or the Big Bounce. What if the Big Bang was not the beginning, but merely a chapter? What if our universe is just one in an endless cycle of expansion and contraction? In this beautiful eternal dance, the universe expands to its maximum size, but then, somehow, the force of gravity, perhaps aided by hidden dimensions and energies we can't yet perceive, wins out. The expansion stops, reverses, and the entire universe begins to collapse. Every galaxy, every atom, every photon of light is pulled back towards a single point. This is the Big Crunch. It would be the Big Bang in reverse, a cosmic inhale after an eons-long exhale. The universe would heat up, compress, and return to a state of infinite density and temperature. But here's the magic. Instead of just ending, this singularity becomes the seed for a new Big Bang. A new universe is born from the ashes of the old. A new cosmos with perhaps entirely different laws of physics, different constants. A new reality is born. In this view, our universe is not a one-off event. It is part of an infinite, timeless cycle. Every ending is a beginning. The stars that die will, in some form, live again. It's a profoundly comforting thought, isn't it? That existence itself is eternal, recycling itself in a dance of creation and destruction on a scale so vast it defies comprehension. As we ponder these vast timelines, a haunting question arises. The laws of our universe are perfectly tuned for life. If the force of gravity were slightly stronger, the universe would have collapsed long ago. If dark energy were slightly weaker, it would have recollapsed. If the nuclear forces were different, stars would never have forged the carbon in our bones. the oxygen in our lungs. Why? Is this simply a staggering coincidence? Are we just unbelievably lucky? Or is there something more? Perhaps our universe is just one of a near infinite number of universes in a vast multiverse, each with its own random set of rules. We, of course, can only exist in one that allows for our existence. This is the anthropic principle. But what if it's something else? What if the universe is, in some way we cannot yet understand, conscious? What if the emergence of life and mind is not a random accident, but a fundamental part of its purpose? Could the universe be experiencing itself through us? Are we the universe's way of becoming aware of its own beauty, its own story, its own impending fate? When you look up at the stars, you are not just a separate entity looking at a distant object. You are the universe looking back at itself. The star stuff that coalesced in the heart of a long-dead star is now thinking, feeling, and wondering about its own origins and its own end. That is not science fiction. That is scientific fact, wrapped in the most profound mystery. So, where does that leave us? Here, now, living in this brief, shining moment of cosmic summer. We exist in a golden age. The universe is still warm, still lit, still filled with magnificent structures. We can still see the light from other galaxies. We can still dream of exploring worlds beyond our own. We are living in the prime of the cosmos, a time of abundance and light, before the long, slow winter sets in. This knowledge doesn't have to be a source of despair. Instead, it can be a source of immense meaning. Our lives, though fleeting on a cosmic scale, are happening at the most interesting time in the entire 13.8 billion year history of the universe. We are the universe become self-aware, just in time to understand its own epic narrative. That makes us special. That makes this moment precious. Every joy you feel, every love you share, every beautiful piece of art or music you create is a defiant spark of light in the gathering darkness. It is the cosmos celebrating its own existence through you. The universe may be destined for cold silence or a violent rip, but right now, it is alive and it is glorious, and we are a part of that glory. The story of the cosmos is the greatest story ever told, and I hope today's journey to the end of time has filled you with as much wonder as it does me. If it did, if you enjoy exploring these grand mysteries of existence, then please help this channel continue the journey. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and ring that bell so you don't miss our next adventure into the unknown. The cosmos is vast, and we have so much more to explore together. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. Which of these cosmic endings resonates most with you? The Great Silence? The Big Rip? The Phoenix Universe? Or something else entirely? Let me know in the comments below. Some of the most fascinating discussions happen right there. For those of you who want to dive even deeper, to explore the idea that our reality may be a projection from the edge of the cosmos, a cosmic hologram, I explore that mind-bending concept and many more in my book, Holographic Multiverse. If you're fascinated by the true nature of reality, I think you'll find it a thrilling read. The link to check out Holographic Multiverse is in the description below. Thank you for watching, for wondering, and for being a part of this strange and beautiful cosmic story. Remember, we are all made of star stuff, contemplating the stars. Until next time, stay curious.